Okay everybody, welcome back to another off-stream video. Today we're going to be talking about something kind of funny. I'm going to be telling you guys a story, and it comes in a few parts, so be patient. Each part will come in due time, and we're going to have a good laugh at, I think, each and every one of them. But first I have to give you guys some backstory. Jordan Peterson is a figure who originally came to prominence back during the Gamergate era. You see, I was kind of a fan of Jordan Peterson back when I was a little chuddy guy. I think a lot of dudes who were kind of going through it back during their teen years during the Gamergate era, who were gamers and just kind of going through the hormonal teenage phase, kind of fell in with the Jordan Peterson talking points because of, one, naivety, and two, this, like, appeal he made to, I think, a lot of the things that, you'd be taught or led to believe or told to value. It's hard to quite explain, but there's a lot about being a young teenage guy, I think, that our culture might push a lot of young men into seeking out a figure like Jordan Peterson, and at least in my case, that's what happened. And that's the case with a lot of other people, too. Though Jordan Peterson, when he originally came to prominence, had a very, comparative to today, a very moderate platform. You see, his positions were usually that, well, sure, he didn't respect the pronouns or the beliefs of trans people or the identities of trans people. He wouldn't outright harass them or advocate for their rights to be taken away or for them to not have access to the ability to be trans. He just didn't want to have, in his words, have them force him to change his language. That was his concern. At least that's what he claimed. However, as time went by, it became very clear that while he did put on a facade of honesty and intellectualism, he was absolutely willing to lie outright if it meant supporting the ideology he adheres to. You see, Jordan Peterson is a Christian, and he does in fact believe in all of the... I know there's at least a few Christians in my audience, but you're gonna have some tough love here, okay? You're gonna have to hear this, okay? Jordan Peterson does unironically believe all the crazy shit that happens in the Bible. The pillars of salt, the burning cities, the world-encompassing floods, the impossibly giant boats, the men who could topple entire mausoleums with their own hands by toppling two pillars, like all that shit, they believe it. Like that's what Jordan Peterson actually believes. And he's got a very, something you'll find with religious types such as Jordan Peterson is that everything they believe is already pre-justified in their minds. They don't need to have any evidence or facts or anything to back up what they believe internally for them to believe it. They believe it because the Bible says so. They believe it because their nature of politics that they adhere to, says that they must, essentially. And I'm speaking about Jordan Peterson and his ilk here, right? And so when it comes to somebody like this, they are willing to lie, misrepresent, twist the truth, and even just outright make things up if it means pushing the narrative they believe in. And that's what Jordan Peterson blew up on doing. Early on, it was just him refusing to, use proper pronouns for trans people in his classes, but he very quickly grew an entire career, one far more profitable than he ever had as a professor, by being a right-wing grifter. And that's where he is today, as a right-wing grifter. But there's a lot to talk about that's a little bit more modern lore. You see, Jordan Peterson kind of disappeared for a few years. Like, during the BreadTube era, Jordan Peterson was kind of gone, like MIA. Like, he was a meme that people talked about and made jokes about, but he was just gone. People thought he might never come back. But as it turned out, he was, in nearly, on his deathbed, I guess, in Russia, from some weird, carnivore diet that his daughter put him on, if I remember correctly. He was also addicted to drugs and shit. He wasn't doing too well over that period of time, but he came back seemingly clean and doing better as far as his health goes. But he seemed a little rattled, you know, like a little bit off. He wasn't the same as he was before he went MIA. And that's where we get to the events of today, I guess. Or not today, but what's happened more recently. Jordan Peterson's recent Twitter activity has been alarming in regards to his health. And I'm just making this video because if Jordan Peterson ends up, like, keeling over from an aneurysm in his brain or dying from a stroke in the next couple months or weeks, I just want you guys to be able to meme about how I'm prophetic, okay? That said, let's look at the first part of this story. Now, the first part of this story is pretty mundane on its own. If this was it, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't even bat an eye at it, okay? But considering what happens after it, I think it's worth considering. It starts with Jordan Peterson retweeting a tweet from April 20th, 2022. So nearly a year-old tweet, pretty weird. And it's a meme tweet, pretty obviously, made by Donna the Dead. You have a picture of Shuan Head here with short hair, and then a picture of Shuan Head here with long hair. You may know Shuan Head for her accusing me of being a pedo apologist, for saying she shouldn't spread conspiracy theories about fashion companies being pro-pedophilia or grooming because of teddy bears. This person tweets, "When I was 18, I took male hormones so I could fit in better with my group. My group encouraged me to take TRT and ruin my body, and it destroyed me. This is not uncommon. Hashtag DTrans Awareness Day. Hashtag G-Transition Awareness Day. Me at 18, trans, / me at 24, DTrans. It does get better." This is, of course, a meme tweet, whether it be made by a conservative who's, you know, trying to do, like, a psyop to make people believe that this is a real D-trans person, or, like, by a trans person on the left who's doing it ironically because, you know, D-trans people are weird, I guess. I don't know. Regardless, it's a joke. It's trolling. It's bait. It's bait. And, you have to be pretty, like, unplugged from the conservative media sphere to not know who Shuan Head is. Shuan Head is, so I feel like it's pretty obvious bait, especially for Jordan Peterson. I feel like Jordan Peterson's got to know who Shu is. But this alone, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Nothing crazy. It's what happened next that drew my attention. There is a particular type of fetish porn that seems to feature men having their dicks attached to some type of pump in a hospital bed while having, like, their nut just siphoned out of them at maximum power, maximum suction. And some right-wing bot account that posts false news stories, just fake news. There's a lot of that on Twitter now. You'll see these big gimmick accounts that are right-wing that just post fake news, and it's just like, yes, after a day, Twitter fact-checks it and confirms, yes, this is a fake story, but, you know, the accounts never get banned, and it doesn't change the fact they still get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of likes per post. One of those accounts posts a video of exactly what I just described. It's fetish, but captions it, and by the way, YouTube, this is censored, so no TOS, YouTube, this is censored, this is not TOS, YouTube, this is censored. Okay. This is not what it's claiming it is. What's going on in China? 3 children policy? Warning, graphic pictures. That's not what this is. This is fetish porn. Jordan Peterson quote tweets this on his timeline of a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people follow Jordan Peterson. A whole lot of people who aren't even, like, tapped into politics follow Jordan Peterson. He's got, like, still a fairly large normie following. He quote tweets it saying, "Such fun in unbelievable techno nightmare CCP hell." Once again, falling for bait. I feel like he's kind of either having a lot of consecutive boomer moments here, or something is happening. So that's part 2 of this story. But honestly, I feel like the best part of it has to be the fact that he ended up deleting that tweet for, I'm sure, a variety of reasons. The least of which being he posted nudity, uncensored nudity, onto his Twitter timeline of a whole lot of people. But the top reply to this deleted tweet is from his own daughter, Michaela Peterson, who replied, "Dad, you can't retweet this on Twitter. My eyes will never recover." And I'm not sure, but I think she might have actually ratioed him before he deleted the tweet. I think his own daughter's reply asking him not to tweet shit like this might have ratioed him before he took the tweet down. I don't know at what order my segments are going to be edited and uploaded by my editor, but in my last recorded segment, I discussed the fall of Sneeko and how I think this marks the beginning of the end of this age of right-wing media demagoguery control, or whatever you want to call it. And if I'm being honest with you guys here, I feel like this is the start of the fall of Jordan Peterson. And I feel like the fall of this era of right-wing, control, it all starts with the fall of the figureheads that pushed it into place at the start, right? Like, the people who made the right so dominant online, their fall socially is kind of what causes what they created to fall as well. It makes sense, And I really think that Michaela Peterson begging her dad not to tweet literal fetish porn on his Twitter and falling for obvious, fake news bait, I think that might be what starts it off for Jordan Peterson. But it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. He follows it up with a tweet that, honestly, as I mentioned earlier, isn't really too bad in its own, but when you consider everything else, it makes you wonder, is Jordan Peterson having a stroke? Maybe. Let's take a look. So, Jordan Peterson quote tweets a CNN tweeter post saying, "Women in Berlin can now swim topless in the city's public pools if they choose to. It's being hailed as a step towards forward for gender equality in the German capital." Pretty based. For those that don't know, Europe is most of Europe tends to be pretty lax when it comes to nudity, at least in comparison to America. And Canada. America and Canada are really, really prudish about nudity, in comparison to the rest of, I guess, the Western world, as Jordan Peterson himself would call it. Europe is not this crazy about, particularly topless nudity and with women. There are lots of topless beaches in Europe, which are just not really common in America at all. Usually they have to be, privately owned and run by businesses that specifically, wall off that area for that to happen. There's, so many things that have to be met because there's so many laws around nudity here and everything. It's a whole thing. Regardless, I know Germany is one of those countries that is not super prudish in regards to nudity, as far as I'm aware. So this isn't really a surprising or a crazy change in their policy, right? Jordan Peterson quote tweets this though, saying, "Absolutely everything you do CNN..." Sorry, hold on. "Absolutely everything you do at CNN is pathetic virtue signaling. Think good days are numbered." I'm open to this just being a typo, but I like to think that, a little blood clot was, passing through a tight spot in his, blood arteries in his brain as he was typing this, and he just kind of went, and then posted the tweet, and he just kind of snapped out of it and didn't realize what happened. I don't know, guys. Things are looking pretty rough for Jordan Peterson. I don't know. Listen, I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below, so please, comment what you think down below, subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't seen my videos before, you enjoyed this and you want to see more from me. It makes sure that YouTube actually notifies you when I go live or upload anything new. You can also follow my social media, link down below in the description, and if you want to support me financially, there are plenty of other avenues you can do that, link down below as well. But with all that said, as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.